Oh my gosh, it's happened again, hasn't it? I've got a bit of a makeshift setup here because I'm not at home. But yes, this is just so frustrating. In case anyone is here that's probably a Chelsea fan right now, once again, it's happened. They have stolen another one of our players that, well, this time we're linked with a top target, this time with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. As far as everyone was concerned, we were, well, pretty much going to sign him. I didn't see any real problems with the deal. I think that everyone was quite set in stone that this was, a player that was going to be a Brighton player by at least the end of this week. That was until last night. I believe, if I'm right in saying that Dewsbury Hall is still in Brighton as well. So this call would have literally come last night out of the blue to the point where he's delayed it overnight. And pretty much now gone straight to London and to sign a different contract. I'm not sure on the idea that he didn't want to come because I don't believe that one, to be honest. I think that as far as I was concerned, I didn't see any reason why we wouldn't get Kieran Dewsbury on this occasion. I thought that the deal was looking quite safe. So to be honest with you, I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, I know that he knows Maresca. I know that he's got a past history with the managers. That does make sense to an extent. Chelsea fans in the chat, though, I won't troll. I actually want to know some genuine thoughts, and those genuine thoughts are is he realistically going to be playing for you guys? Like, where do you see Dewsbury Hall fitting in? Because for us, it was a case of Dewsbury Hall actually would have been pretty much our starting player. We struggled in midfield last season. Everyone knows it. It's nothing hidden. Bit of a replacement, perhaps, maybe for Alexis McAllister, is how I looked at him. The only way it makes sense is Gallagher leaves. I suppose that does make sense to an extent. But even still, as far as I'm concerned, Chelsea have got a good 6-7 players in that position. He's quite an attacking player. He likes to dominate the game, probably a little bit similarly to Cole Palmer in that sense. Moda isn't leaving. That's crazy. I mean, look, Moda's been all right. Like he's been okay. I think he's a little bit harsh with how people are treating him. But Gallagher leaving, I still think it's big. I'm still not sure on where he fits, and this to me just feels like a bit of a because Brighton were going to get him. We've just gone for him, and we've had this how many times now? I mean, it sort of happened with Kieran McKenna, didn't it? And he ended up rejecting both of us, to be fair to him. But I'm not sure about the idea that this is a move that Chelsea and Brighton, have done in good faith. I feel like this has been happening a lot now. I don't know if this gets to a situation of, did Brighton start complaining about this? Obviously we've given Chelsea all of our, backroom staff, our scouting staff. It's not so unknown secret that everyone that Chelsea has now is former Brighton pretty much in the backroom. So are we that surprised that we've got players and similar sort of markets that we're looking at to us? Realistically, and we have to be realistic here. If Chelsea want them, they're going to go to Chelsea. Of course they are. Because why wouldn't they? The money is completely leagues above what we'll be able to afford, and that's again no secret. We can't compete with Chelsea in terms of prestige and in terms of monetary value. And also, obviously, they've got Europe this year, albeit Conference League in the end, but it's a European competition nonetheless. Where does it get to the point of we go from being okay with it to we don't mind it every now and then. They're going to shop in the same markets because they've got the same staff as us, to the point where we go, look, something needs to change. We can't just keep going on like this. And even a lot of Chelsea fans that I've spoke to, and again, chat, I know there's a few Chelsea fans in here. Are you happy with this? Are you happy with, going for the similar sort of players that Brighton want? Is that the level that Chelsea want is around what Brighton want? Because realistically, and, again, I'm taking all of the sort of jokes aside here, and I look at Chelsea and I think, well, prestigious Premier League club, realistically going for titles back in the day, winning Champions Leagues not even that long ago. Surely going for Brighton players isn't that model that you want. Like I don't quite get that to me. If Gallagher goes out, then I like this. Says some. It seems like Cassidy's going the other way. Again, that's a similar sort of thing to us, where we're letting Moda go there. So much so to the fact we even had a medical done there, which is crazy in and itself. I think Chelsea are forcing Gallagher out. I'd love to know what Paul Barber's feeling. Paul Barber is probably thinking, the good thing is, I do believe the contingency plan thing. There was links with was it O'Reilly, Celtic, I believe. So we were after him probably a little bit before Dewsbury-Hall, to be fair. Dewsbury-Hall was one where we really ramped it up because of the Leicester situation, where they have to sell somebody. If it is Carney, I'll be furious. If it's Chelsea, I think they're going to just collapse. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is a position where Chelsea want to be, and this is coming from someone who even has family as Chelsea fans. Like it's quite big in my family to be a Chelsea fan. Apart from me and my dad, we've been Brighton fans since the beginning. So Chelsea weren't a club any Brighton fans really had a problem with until the last couple of years, and now it's become a bit of a dodgy one. As a Chelsea fan, I think this still only become because of the back in the manager. Again, do you agree with that? Do you want these sort of players? I mean, again, I think Dewsbury was a great player. You saw him at Stamford Bridge actually last season, and looked quite impressive. I think he was always going to be one that was, we needed a bit of a talisman at Brighton. We needed someone that was going to pull us out of big moments. I think Leicester, for Leicester, he did that anyway. We haven't really had that sort of player since we obviously lost Caicedo, McAllister, and the list goes on with players we lost in the last few years. So we needed that big name sort of player. But at Chelsea, he's not that big name player, is he? I mean, he's not going to be like a Caicedo. I know you're saying Gallagher's going to go, but you've got the likes of Enzo Fernandez, you've got the likes of Romeo Lavia, who are, a lot of people seemingly forgot about. And again, the list goes on with Conor Gallagher, as we spoke about earlier. So he's not going to be that big player unless he, Archie Gray, another one. So it makes you wonder if, is he going to be what he thinks he's going to be there, or is he just going to be happy to, let's face it, be a bit of a rotation on the bench at Chelsea? Is that the level that he wants? Is he happy with, obviously, the money? He's going to blow it out the water with what he would have got at Brighton. At Brighton, it would have been decent nowadays because we're not as broke as we used to be, of course, because a lot of that comes down to Chelsea. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to be the sort of main player. He could raise his level, but then there's no guarantee of that either. He's a decent squad player. Again, does he want to be a really decent squad player? He could have been a very, very good talisman player at Brighton. I mean, I write this off as one it's sort of done. Jack Hinchelwood wants a word. I don't think we should put too much pressure on Jack Hinchelwood, by the way. There's not really. I don't think that's fair, especially with Pascal Gross leaving. I don't think Jack Hinchelwood getting the shouts of being the sort of next Pascal Gross is a very fair one. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of the owners at Chelsea? I mean, I can see there's a lot of Chelsea fans in here, so I might as well ask the question. Paul Winstanley as well. Oh my goodness, this is always funny to me, Paul Winstanley, because I'm sure the Brighton fans of the chat will remember not even that long ago that Paul Winstanley was, not a lot of people did want him here. A lot of people wanted him sacked. So that was always quite entertaining to me that he was the one that Chelsea wanted of all of the sort of staff that they could have had. Obviously, Sam Jewell is a much different kettle of fish. He'll do very well at Chelsea. I feel. I hate to say it, but I feel like they're cooking. Look, I'm not against the transfer itself. It's more about how it's come about and how we've had to suffer for it again. Yeah, at what point do a restraining order? Honestly, restraining orders in transfers, can it even happen? I mean, it might be the first time ever. I sort of feel like a Southampton fan when there was that period where they were just signing, Liverpool were just signing all of their sort of targets and best players. But the difference is here is we have let go of backroom staff. I think people forget, it's not just the players, it's not just the links, it's not just the players that are the good players for us. It's the backroom staff that are causing the problems here because they're the same as it's the same as us. It's no different. The ideology that the backroom staff had at Brighton is going to be the same there. So that's the trouble that we're sort of going through. I've seen Onstein's just tweeted, Chelsea submit offer to Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. If deal is struck, yet decline the chance to join Brighton. So he's, according to David Ornstein, he's rejected Brighton in the form for Chelsea to come in. So it looks like that one is going to be over. and that is as dead in the water as it can be. That is a game over sort of moment. So looks like the deal's gone in. So it looks like Chelsea will be signing him. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy because this is how many times now that are in that situation. KDH loan to Hibs in January. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I just don't know if he's gonna be in and around that sort of level. Like, is he gonna be there? I don't know. It makes it sound like he's rejecting us before. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think he was definitely gonna be signing for us. I think without the Chelsea interest, I feel like I don't think this is one where it's come up. Yeah, Moda's the one. Moda's the one because it's not just us, is it? It's not just the clubs. It's also the likes of Jakob Moda, the both players, having to do the travelling, and particularly Moda more than anything. He's sort of been used as a bit of a fish bait now. He's had to come back. So now we've got to, maybe get a new move for him, or whether he's going to be happy despite us touting him is always going to be the question. Love to see Lokonga at Brighton. I think that's a perfect player for you lot. Yeah, to be fair, he did well at Luton, didn't he, last year? Obviously, solid player at Arsenal. Didn't really get too much opportunity there apart from his first season. Gomez and Weaver were still alive. Yeah, to be fair, Weaver would still be a great signing if we can get hold of him. Without Chelsea, I'll tell you what, right? If the chat see this, if Chelsea come in for Weaver, like that's it. Like I give up. I give up. That's officially the one where I'm like, you know what? This was our man. There's no. Correct me if I'm wrong. Put the tweet in the chat if there is one. But I can't see. I haven't seen a Weaver link for Chelsea yet. So, we're all quite confident about getting him over the line at the moment. If that will happen, I don't know. We'll see. Throw the kitchen sink at Minte. Yeah, see, this is another one. Look, there's practically a mini deadline day coming up. There's practically a mini deadline day on Sunday. There's all these clubs that are looking to sell. Newcastle, one of them, obviously Leicester, the other. Looks like this Leicester one's going to be that now. They won't be looking to sell anyone else, and realistically, I don't think we would have wanted too any of their other assets. But Minte's going to be one to watch. I think Brighton are interested in him. Whether we'll go for 40 million, not so sure. If it's a 25, 30, maybe. What's happened to Dahoud? I don't know. It was a bit of a fallout, I think, in terms of mentality and in terms of him. I think that he got given the offer to go on loan, didn't quite impress enough. So I guess we'll see what happens with him. But I'd be surprised if he sticks around too much. Again, it's a big summer, so there could be a lot to go yet. The only weaker links come from final sources. No, I wouldn't be too worried about where it's come from, to be honest. I'm quite confident that Weaver is a genuine link, and I think we are genuinely after him. And this is coming from more than just final people that have said that to me. So I wouldn't be too worried about that one. The genuine interest is true, but I don't know about, obviously now that it's out in the open, of course, you get opportunities like this. I think the club actually did quite well keeping Kieran Dewsbury-Hall so quiet as they did for this sort of week, maybe last week, you could say, because I think a lot of people within the club are quite, kind of, I say within the club, that's a broad term, but I think a lot of people were avidly watching to see if a move would get made this week, especially with the 30th of January thing coming. And, it's one of them where, he's just chosen to go. And what can we do? Would you take Graham Potter back? No, I mean, no, that one's gone. What do you think happens with Undav? I don't know. I obviously Stuttgart want 20, 25 million, 30 million. If he goes, he goes. I'm not overly fussed because it wasn't like he was a star figure here, but obviously he's done very well since he's been in Germany. If he stays, he stays. If we get a decent fee, I'm not going to be too fussed. I think we've got João Pedro. Welbeck did quite well last year, so another year would be fair. If we get another signing in, maybe, particularly if we get like another attacker like a Minte or something, I'm quite content with our forward options. It's more the midfield, which is why I wanted Dewsbury-Hall. It's why I want, obviously, Weaver. I think we definitely need some backup in midfield. Dewsbury-Hall is the killer one, I think, for me, because I really was quite set on him signing for us. So I'm quite surprised with how it's fallen through. But then again, now that it's Chelsea, I think unfortunately it's the reality nowadays. We have to realise that our links are going to go. The players we want are going to go because Chelsea, they're looking at us all the time. We have to be wary of that. So Minte wants Everton move. I don't know too much about that, to be fair. I've seen there's been a few tweets. So I know that he's been linked with us. I know there's been a few talks and stuff, but I don't know if there's been talks actually. That's a lie. I think there's definitely been an admiration, but whether we've actually triggered anything, I don't know. But again, it could change in the next couple of days. It could change in the next couple of days. We need a starting caliber striker. I'm not so sure about that. With João Pedro, we haven't got Europe next season, so there's not really that pressure on that. So we'll see. Minte wants a Prem move. Yeah, that's the thing. Everton, they've got that new sort of investment thing, haven't they? I have messaged Mark actually. I've messaged Matisse. He's not messaged me back on WhatsApp. So if you guys tell Matisse to get on, I've messaged him on WhatsApp. He's not opened it yet. He opened my WhatsApp about an hour ago, and now he's just gone off the face of the earth. So I have tried to get him on, but he hasn't replied to me yet. I need him to reply. Newcastle have to sell. Yeah, that's the one. So I think there's a few of them, like where there's a few issues. Maybe we could be sniffing around. We've got the financial upper hand now to a lot of other clubs, and that's why I'm kind of surprised that Chelsea are still attempting to hijack, because I didn't think they were in that situation where they could. But it must mean that they're making a sale, whether that be Gallagher. Obviously, it's helped out a little bit with is it Matson's gone to Villa as well, so we'll see. Hutchinson as well, another sale. That's another 20 million. So they've got a lot of assets. It has to be said, and that's the one benefit of holding a lot of these players is you can prosper out of them. But we'll see. Minte, I think, is one definitely to keep an eye on. Reece Nelson, I'm not so sure about that one. Smith Rowe, obviously, we've been linked with a lot in the past. Again, I think he'll be asking a lot. I think Arsenal want like a good 40 mil for Smith Rowe, and as much as he was a great player for us, for them, I would want him. But 40 million, can we realistically see Brighton going 40 million to a player that's relatively injury prone and quite unsure? I don't know. But we'll see. The problem with Arsenal players, they're on high wages relative to Brighton. Exactly. I think Nelson was linked with us a few years ago. I think we offered him like 80 grand, and he got offered 100 grand just to sit on the bench there. So we can't compete with that sort of money. And that's, I think, the unfortunate reality of being Brighton. Like you have to just accept it, and it is what it is. I don't mind. But at the same time, when you're trying to get into that next level, you're trying to go to that next stage. When you're losing out your key players, your key targets to the big boys that don't really need them. I think that's what the frustration is for a lot of Brighton fans. Realistically, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall essentially said, "Look, I don't want to really play. I'm just going to sit on the bench. Yeah, fine. It is what it is." Listen, he could completely prove me wrong and do really well. And fair play to him if he does just that. Isak, I don't think will move this summer. Personally, I think he went only for about 80 mil. 60, 70 mil last summer. So I can't see that personally. The head loss I'm experiencing, yeah, mate. There's going to be head loss on Twitter. I haven't even looked at Twitter yet. Send in some tweets because I haven't actually been looking. I don't know. We'll see. Feel bad for Moda. Time and effort wasted. See, this is the trouble, right? This has happened to us a lot now. Time and effort. How many times have we been fixated on a player, on a transfer deal, one player, and then eventually sort of suffered for it? I mean, we saw it with even McKenna. That was a manager. We had a similar sort of situation. We were quite fixated. We really wanted McKenna. Sort of Chelsea declared interest, United declared interest, and it throws us out of the water because we can't compete with that sort of level. So Nunez, exactly the same. We wanted Nunez more than anything. I remember a couple of summers ago. And then Benfica put their nose in there, and then the next summer we wanted him again, and then Liverpool put their nose in there. So once they're being offered sort of 50, 60, 70 million, it's impossible for us to even compete with that. So I think there's definitely flaws in the Brighton world. There's definitely flaws in the Brighton game. We can't be obviously going for these players, going for these managers, publicly going for them, and then eventually everyone knows that our scouting and recruitment's great, so they're just going to go and bid 30 million more than we can afford. So this situation has happened a lot before. This isn't a new thing. This isn't a brand new issue. I think the fact it's happened again is one of those where that's why now we're asking questions. How long can we keep going on? How long can we keep getting rejected? And not so much rejected, but blown out of the water monetary wise, and failing to compete at the top level when you're losing, that. That's what's the problem. It's completely mirrored McKenna, 100%. This is pretty much no different to McKenna. The only difference is McKenna actually stayed at Ipswich, but I think he was offered a lot of money to stay there. So for that reason, you can sort of see why he did. I'll be real Chelsea fan. Yeah, literally. It's exactly that. I don't know why you guys particularly want him. I'd laugh at you, but we don't exactly. This is the thing, right? So this is what I'm saying. There's Chelsea fans. Obviously, I get the stick on Twitter, and people are going to laugh and whatever. I don't really care that much. It's more the genuine conversations. We have a real conversation with actual Chelsea fans, and I'm saying, like, really, do you actually need the like? My cousin's a really good, really big Chelsea fan. He goes to all the games, and we just say to each other, we laugh about it. But he doesn't want it. So that's how I know the Chelsea. So a lot of the Chelsea end don't want this to be happening either. So that's why it's so confusing for us. Here we go. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall plan to include players in their formal proposal. Understand Dacho Fofana. Yeah, see, like, look, we can't compete with these sort of players that are being offered. Dewsbury-Hall waiting for Chelsea, swap deal, move to Brighton has collapsed. So 100% is over, as we sort of knew anyway. But we can't compete with that. Imagine the wages would obviously have been double, triple what we could even offer him anyway. So financially, it's a complete mismatch. But it's no surprise, their head of recruitment or whatever his title is now, chief operator, is Paul Winstanley. The guy was at Brighton from 2014. He was a very, I say, important figure, but a very significant figure in Brighton's transfer dealings for a lot of years. So the idea that he wants someone that Brighton want isn't far fetched. He still follows most of us on Twitter, so it's not a surprise. And it's not just him; it's everybody else. That I don't even need to name. He's never seemed fond on the move. I don't know that. I don't know that. Look, I'm not going to be delusional. If I had an inkling that he didn't want to join, then I would have said it. But I don't know. Shouldn't want the player that's not excited to join. Again, that make realistically, be honest with yourself. If right, this is pretending I'm not a Brighton fan. If you're going to be offered triple your wages for the same role, are you going to say no? Like, if you don't have any affiliation to Brighton, you don't have any affiliation to Chelsea, you're obviously going to go to Chelsea because it's a complete mismatch in terms of financials, in terms of club history. So obviously you're going to go there. If you have nothing to do with Brighton, you're not. He's not a Brighton fan. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall didn't grow up being a Brighton fan and dreaming of playing for Brighton. He's a Leicester fan anyway. So there you go. Yeah, you don't go for a medical unless you're interested. 100%. He was ready to have his medical, and that was that. So I don't think there was too much. Anyway, who says 3 times? Okay, look, it's a figure of speech. I'm not saying he's actually 3 times the wages, but we'll soon find out anyway. I'm sure we'll soon find out. I'm sure it's probably not too far off. Ryan Check Fab News. Send a link in here. You can send a link to tweets in the chat like the above. It makes it so much easier because if I go off the stream, it could cut out, and I don't want it to cut out. There's a few of you guys active, so I'd rather keep the stream alive. His affiliation to Brighton, he tweeted about. No, it was just I'm pretty sure that's when we played Leicester in the Championship. He just said we arrived in Brighton Hotel. There was nothing in that. I think it was just people taking the mick. Not saying he's not interested, but you want a commitment. Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. But again, if you're there to have a medical, if you've travelled all the way down, 100%. But then you've got the situation of they're gonna offer you a lot more. So why wouldn't you go? Why wouldn't you go? Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. That's the same. The same link. It's the same link because it's pretty much what Ornstein's tweeted anyway. Obviously, the only piece of information there to take away is that Fofana and Cassidy's going to go there, or potentially being spoken about. It's a win for Leicester, right? If Leicester are seeing this, they're saying, look, we won here because we got rid of the player that we needed to get rid of. We've made the money, and also we're bringing in a better player than what we were going to get before. So it's a win for them. It's a win for Chelsea. Well, it's a win for Dewsbury-Hall. Is it a win for Chelsea? I'm not so sure. I don't particularly think that they needed him personally. Can a player not appreciate our interest? I mean, possibly. But look, if as soon as this sort of thing's in the media, it's going to happen. This is the trouble with us. We need to almost find a way of being more secretive. We've tried to do it. It's failed. We tried. We tried to keep it quiet, but as soon as something's in the media now, we know that Chelsea are going to be looking, and that's just the sad reality of where we're at now. So, we have to appreciate it now, and that's what it is. Looks like we had a big plan to sign new players for the PSR deadline. Yeah, It looks like it too. I think we definitely wanted a few, didn't we? Obviously, with Dewsbury-Hall and Minte even being publicly mentioned, and you think there's a lot of players out there that aren't being mentioned. There's a lot of players that we're probably speaking to right now that aren't being mentioned publicly. So I'm not stressed yet. I think it's only June. Let's face it, it's a long way of the transfer market to go. And to be honest, it's probably a good thing that we managed to get a bit of a blowout the way early on. However, and the biggest sort of takeaway for us is we want Lee McKenna, we wanted Dewsbury-Hall. Those are our two number ones for two positions, and obviously didn't get either of them. So I think that's the frustration. I don't mean to disrespect Chelsea with this. It's even a compliment. They're very best at using media briefs. 100%, 100%. They've got that loaded. And to be fair to them, it's quite a pressurous. It's quite a bully tactic to the player to the teams like us. But what can we do? It's a win for them, and what can we do? Third deal at Forest with Morgan Gibbs White, mate. They signed him for like 45 mil. If you think we're going to realistically spend that much, I mean, I don't know what their financial situation is, but I highly doubt they'll be letting Gibbs White go anywhere near a move to another Premier League club, especially to us, who realistically won't be spending that. But we'll see. Brighton relegated next season, no chance, no chance. There's a lot of this summer to go. There's a lot of this summer to go. What I will say is there's a lot of stuff, to happen, and I don't think this is the end of sort of our targets. This is just the first one. Unfortunately, it's not come off. Somerville, I'm not so sure about Somerville. My gut takeaway. Look, I don't know anything about the Somerville deal. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I do. But my gut Somerville takeaway was that maybe a bit of agent talk to try and drum up some interest. I wouldn't be surprised if we, maybe put a bid in for him. But I'm not sure how much we need him. He's a left winger. We've got Matoma, we've got Adingra, we've got the likes of them. So is he going to want to come and sit on the bench? He's not the most effective off the right. We probably want a left-footed, right-sided winger. So I don't see us going for Somerville before we go for any of them. However, Minte could change that. We've got a lot of money. Let's face it, we're in a very good financial situation. But we'll see. Yeah, Somerville. I could see Somerville more going to like a Chelsea, to be honest. I'm not overly convinced that we want him that much. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. But for me, looking at it, it looks just like a bit of agent chat to try and drum up some interest from the bigger teams. On the other hand, Dewsbury-Hall, 100%, we've lost out. But I think Somerville, I don't know so much. Would love to be a fly on the wall in the Brighton boardroom. 100%. 100%, because they've got. If we're having the conversations, they're probably having them, 3 times the pace, really, and that's the important thing to remember. Because if we're identifying the common issues with this Chelsea thing of they're always going to go for the players we want. They want this player. They want this player. They can offer more money. They can offer better football. There's nothing we can do about it. If we're having them concerns, they're going to be having the concerns even more so. So, look, it's a big mistake probably from our end in letting go of so many to go there. Maybe we should have stood in the way of a few more. But the thing is with Brighton is we let people go when we get the right amount of money for it. So, unfortunately, we can't go back in time and change the club model. It is what it is. Brighton can loan Chukwuemeka. I don't know. I don't see us doing too much business with you guys after sort of the Levi Colwill. Obviously, the amount of players that left us to go to you. I'm not so sure. Jeremy Sarmiento. Yeah, I don't know about if Sarmiento is going to stay here. I'd like him to. I would like him to. I'd see him as a decent option. But again, depends a lot on what we do. Obviously, if we're after some wingers, I don't see him as a complete necessity, of course. But I would like to keep him around. I do like him. He's a decent guy. But we'll see. What are your thoughts on Moda? I mean, obviously, we're looking to offload, clearly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have offered. I didn't think the actual deal was as bad as most Leicester fans were making out. He's not terrible. Like, people were making out like he's a really, really poor player. But obviously, on the levels of the players that Chelsea can offer, that are fringe is completely different level. But I do think, I could see him going. I could see him doing. Maybe I don't know where, to be honest. I don't know where. Maybe a lower sort of Premier League club. Maybe if we use it in a sort of similar situation like we did with Leicester, where we try and do a swap deal. We'll see. I can understand why Brighton fans hate us. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like I don't think many Chelsea fans don't see it. Like it's more just the trolls online. I don't take too much away from trolls online. It doesn't really bother me too much, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. There's a lot more to talk about. I don't know who else in Brighton world have we been linked with. I don't know who else we're going to get. Any other names in the hat apart from Dewsbury-Hall? We'll see. Um, we'll see. Can we test the waters for Shirky? I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know what sort of money he's on. I could see it being like a. I don't know. I don't know. I could see it being someone we've been either linked with in the past because that seems to be how we like to go about things. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'd see it more as either one of them or maybe like a Gomez, for example. We'll see. How's your evening going? Well, for a start, mate, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so not too bad. I mean, it's not started yet, but I'm sure I'm going to be having a few beers later on. It's a Friday, so I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. And actually, that tweet was funny. Do you know what? Everyone thought I was like, because there's a lot of Chelsea fans. May as well talk about it. A lot of people thought I was like friends with, um, what's his name, Colwill. It's just kind of weird. I was as surprised as all the Chelsea fans when I saw him quote that. I was just like, oh my gosh! And all of a sudden, my phone was just going crazy because I was just saying that. How's your evening going? It wasn't. It was. I think it was after you guys lost the game or something. So it was just a bit of tongue in cheek, but obviously got taken to a whole new extreme. But it is what it is. It seems a bit strange why Dewsbury Hall wants to come to us. Yeah, and yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm not. That's what I don't understand. It's different. Maybe if we were going for, if say if Dewsbury Hall was still in the sort of Leicester academy, and we wanted him then, and I feel like then you maybe would have let us have him for a year and then tried to go in for him. But he's 25-year-old. He's been playing in the championship for the last season. Obviously, very very good player. I rate him really really highly. But I'm not so sure about that one. It does make a bit of unusual viewing for me. I'm not so sure why he's gone to Chelsea, unless it's just a money thing. He knows Maresca, which obviously helps. But yeah, it will be an interesting one. I'll be definitely keeping an eye on him at Chelsea just to see how he gets on because I can't see him starting a great deal of football, and most of the Chelsea fans agree with that as well. So it's a strange one. Whereas here he would have been sort of like a lead player. So it's a very weird decision. Um, Force Gross to say, yeah. See, this is the trouble with Gross. It's trouble with Gross because I think Dewsbury Hall would have been a great addition on the basis that he's got that sort of leadership quality at Leicester. My worry is losing Gross upon losing Lallana, upon losing De Zerbi, upon losing etc. I worry a little bit about leadership. Have we suffered a little bit for leadership? Obviously everyone says we want to get another experienced player in, but who that's going to be, we don't know yet. Gross leaving, I think with a new manager coming in, especially a very new sort of 31-year-old manager. Sorry to go over it like the media do all the time, but he's a very very fresh manager. So to lose one of your biggest sort of current legends in this situation, I think for one more year, I think Gross would be very 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 helpful for us. But at the same time, he is one player where I wouldn't want to stand too much in his way because he has been very loyal. He had the link obviously with Liverpool a long time ago, if you guys remember. So he didn't choose to go. He chose to stick around and become a club legend, and I respect Pascal Gross for that. Um, but I think maybe this year I get why he wants to go. He said he wanted to retire in Germany for a long time, and we can't stop him from doing that. I completely think we should warrant it, but at the same time, it's that leadership quality we lose. It's a big leadership quality we lose, and with a transition period like we're going through now, losing someone that genuinely loves the club is going to be a bit of a sore one. And I think Dewsbury Hall would have sort of softened that blow a little bit, but I'm not sure. Ornstein said he generally rejected Brighton. Yeah, but it's not surprising, is it? I mean, obviously he rejected Brighton because if he's being offered the sort of stuff that he's being offered at Chelsea, he's going to reject us. He's not going to say, yes to us at the same time as going to Chelsea. You can't say yes to us and yes to Chelsea at the same time. It's impossible. I know you guys hate Chelsea, but I genuinely think you should. Look, I don't hate Chelsea's talent and players. I don't. Do you know what? I don't hate Chelsea as the club. This is what I think Chelsea fans get mixed up. I don't hate Chelsea the club. I hate your owners and sort of your owners setup and how they've sort of gone about it. it's quite sort of unjust, I guess, if you like, because the Chelsea as a club, I had no problem with. Like, I had no real issue. Chelsea were, if anything, of all the big six, I didn't really like most of the big six clubs, and actually Chelsea are probably the only one I didn't mind, and that was because of family links. And I was like, do you know what, I can respect that. I didn't have too much of an issue, but it's the owners. I don't really like the owners. And that's it. So when we boo Chelsea, we're booing the owners, we're booing all of the backroom staff that decided to go with it, and sort of, it is what it is. That's pretty much where we're at. I don't think we're, say tomorrow Todd Bowley left and all of your backroom staff are gone, and it is what it is. Then I'll just go back to just being what it is about Chelsea. When you had Abramovich, you were sort of Samsung heritage, wasn't it? So I didn't really care too much about Chelsea at all. Yeah, Chelsea fans hate our owners, exactly. So I don't think there's too much, and I think that's what it is. Chelsea and Brighton rivalry is purely business, and yeah, and I don't think that now we look at it in a bit of frustration at the club. I'm sure Mike agrees. I'm sure Mike, you're a Brighton fan. I've seen you at games all the time. I'm sure you would agree with me in saying that our biggest frustration is about Bowley and about, if it was a situation where Chelsea's rivalry, you know, disintegrated with the owners leaving or something, I think that you would completely agree with that. Yeah, exactly. The main sort of, the clear leg, whatever it is, I don't really get it. It's all of them lot. So we don't really care who it is. It's just about how it's going about, and that's what it is. Fabrizio reposted the Dewsbury Hall. So it's over. It's over. It's been over since I started the stream. Let's not try and get our hopes up. There's no point. It's all over now. We gave you so much money. Yeah, I know. That doesn't really matter. I mean, that's more us laughing at you guys for paying stupid fees that we drum up. But yeah, I don't really care about them too much. Archie Gray, I see his name mentioned a lot. I don't think there's any links with him whatsoever. Although that could change, obviously, with Dewsbury-Hall falling through. The good thing is now I don't see where Chelsea now. I don't know. Are you guys going to spend too much? Are you going to be looking over our shoulder again? I don't know. So hopefully maybe we can get a few more over the line without Chelsea being in that sort of situation. I'm just going to scroll up through the comments because I've missed a lot of them. I do feel sorry for you guys. See, look, Chelsea fans as a general are fine. Generally think Brighton finished 16th to 17th. I personally don't. But I'll reserve that judgment until the transfer window's over, because we've got a long way to go. I mean, look, Dewsbury-Hall was the first one I thought would get done. And that's with the option of having so much more to happen. So I still think there's a lot to happen before Sunday with the whole Minte situation and a few others that are looking vulnerable that we might try and take advantage of. I think if there's anything Chelsea might have taught us, it's to be a little bit more, bullyish, sort of just go for it. Don't really worry about who you step on, because I do think Brighton have been a little bit too nice in the past and tried to do business in the best faith, and not always that's the best idea. I mean, Chelsea have done that probably to some extent, but at the same time, they're not afraid to stab you in the back. And I think that's how you get to the top, is you unfortunately have to do that and be a little bit more ruthless. Ryan nearly crying. I'm not nearly crying. I'm all good. I'm chilling. I'm fine. I'm a bit annoyed about it, but it is what it is. Like, it's football, mate. You'll be all right, I promise you. I guess this is not too many other names thrown in there. Setup's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's purely a business thing. I'll be real. You rat on me on Twitter, but you're actually see, Twitter's not real life. But yeah, I think we're pretty much there. Beware of Somerville. I think Chelsea are even though we don't really need him. Yeah, again, he'll probably just get him. I don't really think we want Somerville, as I said before. I don't see Somerville going to us personally. I'm not so sure about that one. Dewsbury has seen more as an attacking. Yeah, see, he's an attacking player. Chelsea unlikely to follow up on Archie Gray interest. So maybe we keep that one alive. Maybe we do. I don't know. I think I don't see us going for players that you want. I see it as the other way around, because I think if you want, say for example, Archie Gray, that price is already inflated. So we wouldn't even bother even going near it, because we wouldn't be able to afford it. We can't tempt players away from you, whereas you can tempt players away from us. And that's just sort of how it is. Some of it's probably just the name being dropped. Yeah, I do think it's just a name drop. Because realistically, if you put Brighton in the hat of a player that someone wants, it's it's fashionable now. If Brighton want them, they must be good, and that's the sort of reputation we've built, which is great. But also, you need to get deals over the line. You can't just be the team that signs sort of kids from South America. That's great. That's a great model. It works well. But also, you need to get the big deals over the line. You need to get Kieran McKenna as manager. You need to get Dewsbury-Hall in. And that's the biggest frustration, more than anything, more than Chelsea even doing that. The frustration is, how have we let it get to that situation? Why haven't we just got the deal sorted at the beginning of summer? Why have we let it drag on? We knew that Leicester wanted 30 million. We knew that we wanted him. We knew that Dewsbury-Hall was happy to come. Why didn't we just get the deal done? Instead we've waited and waited and waited, and Chelsea have swooped in, and that's what shrewd business unfortunately does, and that's it. We can't do anything about it. And that's the frustration for us. I think we just need to get them deals over the line. Archie Gray's perfect. Yeah, I must admit, very wonder kid material, isn't he? I think he's only like 18. I've not obviously watched Leeds every single week, but I've seen a few of his little clips, and I watched a few Leeds games last season, and he does look very good. But we feel, obviously, if we do bring him in, provided no other, honestly, I can't even tell you how confident I was with Dewsbury-Hall coming in. I was so relaxed with this situation. I did not see this happening at all, in terms of the hijack. But it's the second time it's happened to us. I'm sure Brighton fans in here will remember the Pritchard situation. You can never be too relaxed with Brighton, because always we end up getting hijacked for someone else. Leicester's interested in Broja. I don't really care. I'm not gonna lie. English talent. Yeah, to be fair, I don't know. I have seen a lot of big hype about him, though. I have seen a lot of big hype. We'll see. It's happened multiple times. So hopefully a wake up call. Well, yeah. I mean, the Pritchard situation happened when 2016. That's crazy. By the way, that's what, 8 years. So we can't. At some point, we have to identify the issue and realize that it's a problem, and that problem is with Weaver, for example. We know that he's happy to come here. We know that we want him. So let's just get the deal over the line. Let's not waste time to let Chelsea come back in, or even give Chelsea the opportunity to come back in. It has to change in terms of sometimes just spend the money, and if it is just that little bit more, if it's a couple of million. The big clubs don't worry about a few million in terms of getting their deal done. If they want their man, they'll get their man. In Chelsea's sense, it's about 20 million above what we wanted in the first place. But look, I won't banter too much. The outside, I feel like your recent deals since last season have dropped off in quality. Baleba, Fatty, Dahoud. Good point. I agree with some of them in terms of Fatty, Dahoud. New manager, I'm not sure about. I won't say too much about manager because I don't know yet. But Baleba's a great talent. I think you'll see him a lot next year. He's a really, really good talent. So I would not put Baleba in the same bracket. But Fatty and Dahoud, yeah, were 100% flops last season. We can't hide from it. Igor as well, maybe in that sort of. I wouldn't put him on the same level, but it maybe wasn't the best quality. I do feel like we panic bought him. I think the club maybe got a little bit too relaxed in the sense of us getting Colwell on a permanent. So I think we went just at sort of Igor as a bit of a backup option. But those were De Zerbi calls. Those were De Zerbi signings. Baleba was a club signing. João Pedro was a club signing. And Verbruggen was a club signing. So you can probably see the difference in quality between the 3 club signings and the 3 De Zerbi signings. So it does make you think a bit there, and not to sound like Matt Letizia, but I think that's where the bit of quality difference and frustration probably with De Zerbi is that he wanted players that he wanted, and as much as he wanted and can identify talent 100%, he can identify positions, but I think when you've got Brighton's model to get certain players and to get quality players, it's hard to say, De Zerbi should have had more control because, as we've seen, and as you guys said, though, those signings are nowhere near the quality that, a normal Brighton signing would be. Verbruggen's amazing. He's in player of the tournament. Yeah, I agree. Like, I've watched him closely actually with Netherlands in this Euros. He's been really, really good to watch. Really proud of him as well. He's 2 years younger than me, which is horrible to think about. He's only 21. And he's been unbelievable. And yeah, he's a good talent. And again, he didn't even get to start properly last season. So these are the next sort of crop of young players that Brighton have got that will end up doing really, really well. So yeah, Verbruggen will be one to watch next season. Baleba will be one to watch next season. Valentin Barco will be one to watch next season. Thoughts on Matoma's future? Good question, and that's purely. I'm not so worried now, but I think the only situation where we would sign Somerville would be in the case that Mitoma was to leave, because realistically, Somerville is not better than Mitoma. I feel like the world's forgotten how good Mitoma is, which helps us to an extent. I think if Mitoma didn't get injured last season, I think top, and I'm talking City level clubs would have been looking at Mitoma this summer, because he is a top player. Um, I don't think he'll move though, because, and the reason I say that is because of his injury. If it wasn't for the injury, I think we would have been talking about Mitoma in a different way. But it's a good thing for us. But also how he comes back, I don't know. I don't know. All right, I think we'll wrap up soon. I think I've said just about everything. It is what it is. Dewsbury Hall's gone to Chelsea. Yeah. What can we do? What can we do? I mean, look, we'll keep an eye out for a few others. Final one, will Ansu Fati be permanent? No, I'll confidently say that. Look, could change, but I think he was a Deserby signing. So I can't see that happening. But thank you all for joining in the chat, of course. Lot of love to you guys. Make sure you press the join button as well. I'll be doing these a lot more over the summer, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Hopefully not when Chelsea hijack us again. Yeah, and up the Albion. Come on.